Are video games art? Irrational Games' latest entry into the Bioshock universe answers that question with a resounding goddamn right they are. But like any good piece of art, Bioshock Infinite might not resonate with everyone. You play as Booker DeWitt, a man hired to deliver a girl from a city in the clouds. Standing in your way is a religious leader, the self-proclaimed prophet, who leads his city with an iron Bible. The details of how and why Booker came to this task are at the heart of Bioshock Infinite, and through the next 15 or so hours of gameplay, the mystery will unravel. The first-person gameplay in Bioshock is fast and visceral, knocking enemies into the air with a vigor power, circling around raining death from the skyline, and finishing off foes while leaping through the air feels satisfying, even if the mediocre AI isn't sophisticated enough to make you plan your attack. The game is a slow burn, doling out powers as late as 3/4 the way through, so for the most part things remain fresh throughout. The middle portion does lag somewhat, as you're forced to backtrack repeatedly and there are more pronounced gaps between firefights. But when the combat's clicking on all cylinders, chaining together vigor combos with deadly melee finishing moves, few first-person shooters are more enjoyable to play. Your partner along the way is Elizabeth, who has a few tricks of her own. Elizabeth can open interdimensional tears that aid Booker with cover, mounted turrets, and weapons and health caches. In what may be a first in video game history, Elizabeth never gets lost, stuck, or in the way. Future games with follow the leader portions? Take notes. This is how it's done. As good as the gameplay is, the real draw of Bioshock is the richly imagined world. The art design leans a little cartoony, foregoing realism for a sense of wonder. The effects often breathtaking, and the few graphical quibbles like flat-textured foliage and the occasional pop-in do little to destroy the immersion. Everyone in Columbia helps flesh out the world, and eavesdropping on the local citizens will really help paint a picture of a world gone mad from fanaticism.
An Oriental stopped me on the street and asked me for the time. Just like that. There should be a law. I think there is.
The central characters, unfortunately, aren't nearly as well developed. Despite fantastic voice acting, and somewhat as a necessity of the plot and themes of the game, most of the characters in Columbia are singularly minded caricatures who are in a near constant state of flux as to their motivations, and as a result are never quite as interesting as the residents of Rapture. Zachary Comstock is never as present or intimidating as Andrew Ryan. Instead, he's a simple, hate-filled, xenophobic zealot who only makes an appearance when the plot requires it. Which brings us to the crux of Bioshock Infinite, the plot, and more specifically the ending. This will remain a spoiler-free review, but it's difficult to articulate just why this game left me feeling so empty by the end without context. It's an extremely complex plot, full of rips in space-time, actions and consequences, constants and variables, salvation and redemption. Oh no, my nose is bleeding. And while it often leaves many questions, all of the answers are contained within the game. It just requires a little extra care to collect all of the clues. It's a little too easy to miss a Vox phone here and there that provide essential plot details. A second playthrough, viewed with an entirely new perspective, is a must. And that's the juxtaposition with which I find myself. Bioshock Infinite's an expertly crafted mystery, akin to a film like The Sixth Sense or The Usual Suspects. The clues are available without being obvious, and it's an experience you'll want to have more than once. In the end, I simply didn't like whodunit. Your mileage can and will vary. Then again, I've spent hours since completing the game thinking about it. I've turned over the ramifications of the finale in my mind 100 times, and still it keeps me fixated. And that is the genius of Bioshock Infinite. It's a game which, whether or not you enjoy in the moment, will keep you thinking. It elevates the status of the first-person shooter and its ability to tell an interesting story. It's a game that deserves to be played by as many people as possible, interpreted 1,000 different ways, and discussed at length from a million points of view. Few games engender this kind of thought and dialogue. Do yourself a favor and pick up a copy of this game to experience it for yourself, before someone spoils the ending for you.